Hi. Um, Apparently I'm supposed to be sending some messages. I don't know why. So make sure that definitely I'm inebriated. Yeah, no, not really. I'm within point oh 0.05. But about love and truth of love and stuff. Look, I'm a single woman. I've never been married. No children. Um, and I've only ever found love in different realms. Nowhere near here, but I wasn't born near here. I was born in Western Europe. Um, and I wasn't born anywhere near here. I mean, it's Euro-American, so I should go for NATO guys and go, oh, some guy, like, he's in NATO and he's probably one of my kind or something, you know? Um, but, I don't think he's a god. I built everything. If he didn't make a small city by himself, well, definitely not a god. No. But maybe a nice guy. I mean, love's love. Does someone have to build something? You know, so, anyway, um, apparently I'm supposed to say speeches because this is like the form of communication or something. Um, there was this guy, and though I didn't build everything, I was living on my own yacht. Um, and uh, there was quite a problem. Uh, as in, all right, so the problem's this big. It is absolutely massive. Because I was kidnapped when I was young. So I always maintain I wasn't born in the nation, and nothing I do is for the nation. I was born in Western Europe. Though I built everything on Earth, despite the nation that murdered everything, etc. And so I had this yacht, right? And its name was Roebuck. And yachts, boats only have they're only allowed one name per boat, and no other boats allowed it. So the police had murdered innocent people, heaps of them, and I couldn't figure out that I was arguing with national security, right, at all. And national security decided every time I won the argument, they'll call their boat name my boat name. And I said, no, it's my boat. You're not allowed to call your boat name my boat name. Now, guess what? All of national security boats, border security, is called Roebuck because I was the only person with a boat named Roebuck. And when I won the arguments, because the police did so many crimes that murdered everything, national security called their boat name my boat name, and I said, no, don't. You're not allowed to. Oh, so now there's a whole fleet of Roebuck. So I had to do the constitution for the fleet with Marpole. And I'm like, oh, fuck no. Look, and you have no idea of the number of levels of crimes and shit where someone goes and falsifies my opinion. Well, that's definitely not my opinion. And then I'm supposed to be able to speak through public media as myself, right? And, well, my opinion's my own. It's not to be interfered with by somebody else. Anyway, so I met this guy, and I'd lived on yachts for years. I hadn't watched television for like 20 years, right? And this guy expected me to know who he was. I said, no. Do you know who I am? And he sort of said, oh, he likes to know people. And I said, well, though I built everything, though I did. And including on yachts and stuff, like, and no one's allowed to know where I live because they'd either invade it or they'd say I have no right to live on a yacht, which was basically the government at the time said no one's allowed to live on their yachts, kick them all out. Like, so, well, no, I just won't mention that at all. And I hadn't even watched television for 20 years. This guy, like, just sort of expected that I'd know who he was. And I said, oh, no. Then we sort of ended up somewhere else together. And I thought, why? Like, why would you know me? All right, because you wouldn't. I live on yachts by myself. You wouldn't. I mean, I don't think anyone would. You know, like I'm an independent person. Um, you know, and then he started sort of being like, I think I've met you before. And I'm like, yeah, I know I've met you before. Something's happened. Then he tried to develop this thing where we knew that we'd known each other. And so I started searching it. Like, how would I know that person? And it turns out that, as with usual with Marpol, etc., because Marpol removed Cruel Maniac Police and they murdered it. Well, the police had murdered so many innocent people. Alright, and I wasn't using international security. I was doing Marpol licensing. Like, and there's no way that's international security. But because I lived on my own yachts, well, then Marpol was protecting me against Cruel Maniac Police that murdered everything, and really bad politics that says that murderers en masse should have things. Well, not at all, and we've got heaps of records. You know, and I'm like going, well, why would that person think they know me? I mean, nobody does. I'm like a hermit that lives on a yacht, right? Like, to me, I'm a hermit that lives on a yacht. Why on earth would someone say that they know me at all? You know, at all. And then I start getting the Marpol things through. Right, what is it? Check the accents, they match. You've spoken to that person so many times that you've both developed the same accent, no matter how much you try and hide your voice or change your voice. You and that exact individual that says that they know you are expressing that you've spoken to each other so frequently that among two people, you've developed the same accent. I don't know, because I don't use his accent, and he's not allowed to use my accent. And they're going, Jen, it's vocal recognition. If someone's spoken to someone before, the frequency. I'm like, you mean, if you go into a culture and you start speaking with people, you develop the accent? Yeah, but there's also that among individual people. I'm going, but my accent doesn't resemble that at all. Like, there's no way that we have unique characteristics in our voices that match, that we've spoken to each other so frequently that it sounds like between two people the same accent. And they're like, yeah, it is. Like, no, because he's trying to say that he's met me or he knows me. And I'm trying to say I'm a hermit that was living on a yacht that built everything. I mean, I live on a yacht. You're not allowed to tell anyone. They would try and take my yacht and say you're not even allowed to live on yachts. And I make jokes to them that I'm like a mermaid and F you and, yeah. And then it's not just vocal recognition. And I go, look, I decided to ignore vocal recognition. Right? That if two people have spoken to each other so frequently, it's not just picking up a person's accent, it's the same exact as the person. I'm like, no, look, I've decided I'm not going to do that. Right? There were 2 or 3 other bits of information, totally metric, and then I just sort of said, look, I know he wanted to say that he thought I knew who he was. I'm like, I don't want television. I'm a hermit living on a yacht that built everything. Like, you may as well call me a mermaid that was out at sea and built everything. You know, there's a few other points that's much more personal than simply 2 people who've spoken considerably a lot together face to face have somehow developed the same accent as each other. That is, of course, a unique accent, like genetics. Everyone's unique. But they've developed a similar way of speaking because that's how languages work, right? And I just went, oh, no. And can't figure out what he's on about, eh? Like, just tell him I was a mermaid and I built everything and I'm a fucking hermit. You know, then I keep getting all these messages. Like, she's out there somewhere. I'm like, you mean on an effing yacht? And it's a hermit that built everything and we can't tell them where I live because otherwise the government's going to go and kick everyone off yachts and no one's allowed to, you know, yachts are built so that people live on them. Right. I didn't have any television. I'm sorry.